Jacob may have been unconscious, but his mind knew what he had to do. The danger was all around, and he would not let it get through. The Ice Kingdom was surrounded by a wall of ice as zombies slashed and cut, hoping to eat a slice. Outside the capital, many cities did fall as Jacob lay healing. So unsurprisingly, within Jacob stirred a dark feeling. He sensed a great death all around. He felt as though his enemies had begun to surround. On the wall of ice, the zombies finally made a scratch. Jacob's eyes then shot open, and the zombies met their match. Ice spears shot out from the wall, impaling them, killing them all. Jacob then looked at the knights who stayed within his walls. Now it is time you all answer the call. I will leave this wall here to protect all within, but we must go out and save more than just our own kin. The people outside are suffering this undead plague. Then suddenly a voice from outside called, though it was rather vague. Jacob and the knights stormed outside to see Sir Green was back. He was bloody and beaten from the undead's attack. Green held John in his arms. Green then pleaded,
"He was bitten, but please cause him no harm. Instead, I ask you to heal him with your power."
Jacob nodded, and then with light it began to shower. However, Jacob was still weak from the Ares ordeal, so the light flickered and dimmed, and Jacob fell into a kneel. Exhausted, Jacob spoke, "I can't do it, but I'll prevent his turn." Jacob then froze him quickly in place, and then of the plague's reach he did learn. After he explained the reach, Sir Green wanted to know how Jacob did live, but Jacob assured him he hadn't the time to explain, for his people and the land were all in great pain. Jacob then summoned his trident. Jacob just hoped that his neglect Green would forgive. Jacob and the knights then marched throughout the hordes, slaying many. As they reached the kingdom's border, they saw the air kingdom up above, safe and secure. So then Jacob stopped as he gave a new order. "We must split up. I will go on alone while we split into 4 groups. However, half of us will go to the air kingdom and half to the ice. We must save as many survivors and bring them to the capitals, no matter the price. Truly, I couldn't ask for better troops in this fight." The groups then split into 2 and then into 4 as they spread out throughout the lands, raging their war. The war with the zombies was unending, it seemed. Jacob did not have a plan yet to how the land could be redeemed. Soon he drew on his magic and reached out to the Air King, but inside Isaiah's head, he could only hear the ring. Isaiah responded, "Jacob, I know a war rages on, but I fear this is a distraction. I needed to leave. I felt it in my gut. I'm heading to see our old friends, kin. With their help, this war we would surely win." Jacob then assured Isaiah that he understood. Jacob knew, somehow, that Isaiah would have stayed if he could. However, he sensed more to Isaiah's departure. But before he could question it, he was shot from behind by an archer. Jacob then stumbled forward due to the poison arrow. Jacob then quickly looked back as his vision started to narrow. He saw the fiend behind the attack. It was V, though he wore a hood that was covered in all black. V saw his cover exposed, and he let out a laugh. Jacob quickly created a nice sword, cutting V in half. Jacob began to run forward to finish the fight, but V's bodies morphed into 2 beings, and one plunged into Jacob, trying to bite. The zombie V attacked, the other ran off at an amazing speed. The zombie V wanted to see Jacob bleed. It attacked, but clearly it was quite weak. Jacob soon slayed this undead Kylo freak. The fire then surrounded Jacob once more. Jacob glanced around. Before him soon appeared a great door. It opened, and Austin walked into the realm. "Hello, old friend. I tried stopping this undead, unending army, but soon they did overwhelm. Truth be told, my magic is fading day by day. Each time I use it, the shorter it will stay." Jacob then smiled as Austin spoke and said, "I saved you? The true you. Back from the dead?" Austin then frowned. "Is that what tore the great veil?" Jacob shook his head. "My spell was from the light. It would never disrupt or corrupt. Something else had to summon this blight." Austin responded, what if it did fail?" Jacob said, "That can't be true. You are here now, unless something corrupted, but I know not how." Jacob then ended the discussion when he reminded him that people were dying. That was the most pressing issue in his mind, as he heard all of them crying. So Austin and Jacob now teamed up like in the days of old, slaying thousands of the undead and saving countless lives. The fight would surely live in legend, and would always be told. However, despite all their effort, it seemed that undead only grew in 5s. Jacob and Austin brought many to the capitals, but the capitals were full, and the people were struggling despite all the resources Jacob could pull. So Jacob called a meeting with Sir Green and the Fire King. He even contacted Isaiah, who responded on the first ring. Jacob started, "I want to thank you all for your help. However, I know it is hard for us to persist. Soon all of our resources, they will cease to exist. So we must find a way to fix the Great Veil. We cannot allow ourselves to fail. I have summoned my Oracle friend Spirit. Austin has called the Spirit of the Fire Cultist. Between all of us, surely there must be a way, so let's hear what they have to say. The Oracle spoke first.
Jacob, the blame is not on you. I fear it was something far worse. Something else happened that led to creation of their dad force. You see, you're right, your spell was of pure light, even if cast in hell. But Atlas, it wasn't enough, and so one could say it did quell. Austin's soul was saved, but it couldn't return. Instead, it was free to go to a better place. However, Kylo did a spell that disrupted time and space, truly a disgrace. These sought a spell to destroy Austin's very soul, leaving nothing left but a gaping hole. However, when it failed, he corrupted himself, disrupting the veil. This let Austin's soul return to the living, but with it Kylo made his largest fail. He is the one who revived Austin, and thus breaking the veil. I bring to you a spell of light, once used to bring someone to eternal delight. I sense it may help put an end to this fight.
With that, the Oracle then faded back into the light. Then the shadowy figure of the Cultist of Flame said,
My lord, you live once more, no longer dead. I know a spell you can use to control the veil. It requires dark magic, or else it will fail. This spell is of the darkest arts, used in the past to control souls corrupting many hearts.
The shadow then gave Austin the spell, and then it dispersed into millions of parts. Austin then told Jacob the spell, and Jacob thought for a moment before he spoke. Austin, you have to go to hell to use that vile spell. Down there in Ares' castle lays Hades' cloak. Put the cloak on and summon a Reaper. Use the spell to control the Reaper, but make sure you draw it in deeper. While you do this evil act, I will be in the heavens above, channeling the powers of truth and love. From there, the veil I can try to heal, as we try and control and stop this great ordeal. Together, these spells might not be enough to stop the tear, but I told Isaiah the land, and he will do his part. Of this I swear. We will seal the veil into a sphere, thus ending this war and stopping all of the fear. With that being said, the plan was now in motion, and Green was sent with Austin to hell to ensure nothing went wrong while he did the spell. Jacob then opened the door and gathered his power. His injuries he would not let stop him, not in this, the darkest of hour. Isaiah was ready for his part as well. He was ready now. His power had begun to swell. The ritual had now begun, and Austin held death itself within his grip. Green had his sword drawn in case Austin's allegiance seemed to flip. The undead army had slowed, and the healing had begun. The infected army was starting to fall. Soon there was to be none. However, soon things started to go wrong as Austin screamed out in pain. His powers were fading. He could not contain. It was too much for him. Once more it seemed the future was grim. But nothing would stop Jacob at this point, and Jacob pushed on as Austin passed out. Jacob pressed on, never showing any doubt. He single-handedly controlled the veil. His skin cracked and burnt as it lost color, turning to pale. Isaiah could sense his friend becoming an entity. He knew this would strip him of all of his identity, so he screamed out a spell and summoned his might. He drew in the veil's power, though it put up quite the fight. After a moment it was sealed within the sphere, and for the moment the kingdoms had nothing left to fear.